Welcome back, my lovely people, with another episode of V-Rising. Today we will meet Clive the Firestarter. We will actually do have a meeting with Nicholaus the Fallen. Since two are not enough, we also will have a rendezvous with Polara the Feywalker. I'm not a big fan of her. I do find it kind of like hard to go against her, like, you know, the little fairies. And in the end, we will have a little bit of a cuddle with Kodia and hopefully unlocking the bear. But to the main question, why are we even going against Clive the Firestarter? Clive is living in a specific area where you can finally farm sulfur. Sulfur is maybe not that much needed early on because, you know, early on you only need it for the alchemy table, but later on you do need it quite a bit for, spoiler alert, radium alloy. But why is the alchemy table actually super nice and, you know, it's positive to unlock them with Clive? You do actually want to get them because with that you can finally unlock all of the burst. That one, especially for hardcore, is really nice because it's buffing you. What is a little bit the issue I personally see with Clive, why I find Clive a little bit annoying. It's actually what you're currently seeing here on screen, the explosive barrels all around the area, because that makes it really hurt. They have like a big AoE. You do usually have to use your mail, like your dash, to get out of the area to actually get them. We are having here a little snack. We will find a rogue, and 93% rogue, so that is really nice. Currently I have a 72% brute, if I see that correct, so it is definitely an update. Maybe not the biggest update, but it's still nice, you know. You never say no to a good snack. So, for Clive, when you're actually looking around, I would suggest that you're trying to... Oh, here I'm reading, by the way, what the rogue blood is, because with the Oakveil update, there is a slight change in blood type. So I was checking what we actually got from that to check what the changes were. But we can talk about that later. For Clive, I would suggest to try, especially around the main area he's down there on the bottom right, to destroy these beforehand so you don't get as annoyed from them, because they can be really bothering, because Clive itself already has some really annoying attacks. What are Clive's attacks? Clive's attacks are first the cluster bomb. He throws a bomb in the air which explodes and split into 3 more bombs. When these explode again, they split into 9 smaller bombs. The AoE will get smaller each time, but still annoying. A secondary thing he's doing is time bomb. He drops a large bomb at the feet with a large explosion radius that takes a couple seconds to explode. Here you do have to, like, I think when you immediately react, you can walk out of it, or you're simply actually trying to, you know, dash out of it. The difficulty between normal and brutal. In brutal he has something called sticky bomb. And here you will see me doing that mistake quite a bit. So, he throws a fast moving projectile that if it hits a player will cause a timer to appear underneath, you know, my limb, my health bar. And that is a timer. If that timer runs out, it explodes. So, he also throws another sticky bomb right as the first timer explodes, or is about to explode. So, here, since it's AoE, you don't want to actually use your counter. Here, by the way, you see the cluster bombs. You don't want to, like, use your counter. What you actually need to do here, I'm doing that mistake quite a lot. So, counters do not work against AoE. What you want to do is actually using your veil. You dematerialize in your veil for like a second, so you do want to make sure that you hit the timer, right? That is actually, I think here I did not do it right, like a single time. I do have to say that. You know, keep in mind, we are all human beings. I'm not really like, you know, someone here. And I will counter it. I'm doing that wrong, you see? And now I actually have 2 sticky bombs on me because I mistimed it instead of like actually properly trying to do it. Here what my play partner is doing, they are actually trying to move into Clive whenever they have a sticky bomb. So the explosion is Clive, like hurting Clive more. I'm not sure if that actually applies or if it was just a test. I have no idea why I did not even try to dodge here. And once again, I'm countering. Definitely something you don't want to do. Definitely something I'm doing wrong. So, besides that, I would say Clive is actually kinda easy. Most of the cluster bombs, you can walk out of the radius. It's not that bad. The time bomb, I got hit there because I didn't pay attention. I don't know. I did not like dodge a single sticky bomb, and I counted again. So as you see, I'm constantly doing the same mistake. I'm definitely not learning out of my mistakes, let me tell you that. The time bomb is more like, it's not the issue of like the damage. What I see as an issue is like that you're getting zoned. I think that's like my biggest issue in general with AoE abilities in this game, that I feel like I'm getting zoned a lot. What I'm doing now is like we're trying to farm already some sulfur, so we have less sulfur to farm later, because as you know in V-Rising, bosses are respawning, so we want to like take the chance now, so it's a little bit less annoying to do most of the things later on. So sulfur farm, to have a little bit of prep to be able to actually get the alchemy table. We don't so far, if I remember correctly, have any of the brew recipes, so we cannot take advantage of that. But we need to start somewhere. You can also use the explosive barrels to actually gap, like to go faster through the sulfur. So, what we unlocked with Clive are in total 3 spells. We got either the Void spell, the Chaos of Barrier, or the Reign of Chaos. I think right here I will not show which I'm signing for. So, what is the Void doing? Void is summoning an orb that explodes at the target location, dealing 90% magic damage, inflicting ignite, and puts enemies towards the center. I think that's really interesting. More interesting is it actually, once again, if you have dual modifiers. So it's actually, for example, higher damage, or spawns 3 exploding fragments, dealing 12 to 24% damage and ignites. That's, it's a testing. I personally have never used Void, but if you have, let me know what you think about it. Reign of Chaos. I think I like Reign of Chaos as an AoE or clear. It's maybe not the strongest ability, but shower an area with 8 Chaos Meteors over 3.2 seconds, dealing up to 380% melee damage and inflicting net. By the way, here we're working on the side on the Ring of the Spell Weaver, which gives us spell cooldown rate, which is really helpful. For the Reign of Chaos, what I like about it, so first things first, I find it a little bit tricky, because the cast is actually not the initial cast, but the dripping down. That one is actually a little bit more annoying, because like if the enemy's moving a lot, you do want to predict a little bit in which direction they're walking. Besides that, it is like, a nice AoE ability. It is random where they're actually falling, but it's really good. For barriers, I'm personally not a huge fan of chaos, like, barriers in general. Absolutely not of the chaos barrier. I know that the ice, or like the frost barrier, is in general rather good, and a lot of people use it for specific reasons. But the chaos barrier. Block melee and projectile its attacks in front of you for 2 seconds. Blocking an attack charges the barrier up to 5 times. Unleash a bolt dealing 50% magic damage and inflicting ignite when the effect ends. The projectile deals 40% additional damage per charge, and that is depending on your stacks that you gained beforehand. And I simply feel like, while it's not bad, it's like not consistent enough to trigger, and I personally like counters more. I am a big fan of the Blood Rite counter, simply for how easy it is. By the way, I'm spinning. A lot of the things I do in Rising is simply waiting for a little bit and checking what I'm actually want to do. I try to not like rush through the game. So a lot of things that I'm actually doing is just me, running in circles. Also like keep in mind, we played that, as a relaxing game. If you consider actually, brutal difficulty relaxing. I found it okay, except for like, some bosses. Here we're currently working on the throne, and we're thinking where to place them. You will like see in general here and there, like, some upgrades. Oh, and the alchemy table. You will see in general some upgrades here and there of the castle. I usually cut out when we're building the castle, because that is like a really slow and long progress. I don't feel like it's actually worth keeping in it. If I'm like, you know, if it's something major, I will leave it, but like most of the time it's just, you know, here and there a little bit, like, you know, improving, doing better. Here the alchemy table. With that, we will have the ability to actually get brews, which is really nice because, you know, I would say, me personally, in brutal, you do want to use brews. Makes your life a little bit easier, makes a little bit more quality of life. Here we're like, you know, cool mommy moment because we're sitting on the throne type of thing. We will have better clothes later on and that looks way cooler. Sure. But here's definitely an achievement, I do agree. Now we're on the way to... Where are we? For Nicholaus. Nicholaus is living on the graveyard. Let me tell you, on my first playthrough, Nicholaus was one of the bosses that I found real difficult. I cannot tell you how difficult I actually found it to go against Nicholaus. I cannot tell you, and my first playthrough, by the way, was actually not brutal, it was normal. So like the projectors were like non-AoE, but I found it like actually so hard, and I cannot tell you why. I think on my first run through I was dying like 3 times doing Nicholaus. To be fair, Deep Rising is simply a game where you do want to learn patterns. If you know attack patterns, your life is a lot easier. By the way, here I will swap to Reign of Chaos to have an ability against the skeletons, to help clear the skeletons that Nicholaus is actually spawning. What you need to pay attention is actually not the little, you know, enemies, but the skulls. Because once again, you know, apparently I really like to do the same mistake over and over again. These skulls are exploding, making or dealing AoE damage, right? Guess who's trying to counter them? Me. Guess what's not working for AoE? A counter. So, we're not talking about that. What is Nicholaus doing? Nicholaus actually has quite a few different abilities, I would say. Besides, you know, it's actually dark, it's a little bit annoying, it's a little bit spooky. I do like the atmosphere of the graves. I was also thinking the next time I want to build a base, I definitely want to build a base where Adam is, because I do like the atmosphere back then. But those who already know the game knows the game. Besides that, I have not spoiled anything, don't worry. So, Nicholaus, you know, we're on the way to him. He is like on top, you know, as always. You have to prove that you're honored to go. I don't know how to say that in English. Green Bolt. First ability. He fires a single skull range attack. Obviously, you know, they explode. Because boo-hoo. Teleport. He raises up in the air, disappears, then creates an area to affect another player. After a moment, he reappears in the area, inflicting fear on the player if haven't left the area, forcing them to run away from him. So, the teleporting is actually not the issue. It can be annoying if you get hit by the fear because you're running randomly away. But it's not like a quick teleport, right? You actually do see a little bit of the casting. So I would say that's definitely something you can work around and you don't have to worry too much about it. Another thing is actually skulls. He says, your bones will be mine, then radiate 3 waves of skull projectiles in all directions around him. These projectiles wind back and forward, traveling through the air. If you have the place to dodge, it's actually good, but since there are like 3 waves, it can actually be a little bit annoying because it's like real like waves. So if you feel like you're getting like cornered, you are a little bit into trouble. Summoning, and that is like why we chose to have the Reign of Chaos, because of the summon army and summon minions, as you can see here. He says different words, but he summons in total 3 armored skeletons, 1 crossbow skeleton, and in total 14 normal skeletons, or it can up to 14 skeletons. I don't know if it's always 14 skeletons, or if it depending how many are still on the field. And these ones like are really annoying. They're shooting you. Obviously they're dealing extra damage. They can also chase you, and that's why you want to have like a form of AoE to make sure that you have like a way to faster clear them. I do wonder if it would have been better once again to actually use the bow here, simply because like you're getting pushed away quite a bit from like the skulls. And while you think the skulls actually do have collision, when you would have choose to like bow and shoot it, I would have like at least with your Q of the bow, I would have been like a nice try to like just shoot it, but I could be that I'm currently just in my head switching Q and E of the bow, so I don't know which is actually the AoE shooting, and here I'm getting hit because I tried to like once again counter, and like I don't learn out of my mistakes. I generally do not learn from my mistakes. You know, we do have to accept that. So, we're respawning, we do have to do the walk of shame. And going back to, like, actual Nicholaus. Here's the advantage, since we are playing a multiplayer, and my play partner is actually still, you know, actively playing and, like, you know, fighting against Nicholaus. Nicholaus is not resetting, which simply gives us the opportunity that we are keeping our progress. So it's not that Nicholaus is getting like completely halfway again. If you feel like you want to go all at once, all you do have to do is like, you know, leaving the area. Then Nicholaus was reset. He might follow you for like a tiny bit, but usually he's like going back to his spawn and is simply resetting, right? But I was like, you know, we're taking that for our advantage and like simply going on. So, yeah, like it's actually like a little bit of a walk of change and trying to like, you know, not getting too many enemies triggered because I don't want to have them all followed. My blood reserves are not low, but a little bit lower. So, we are back. I do have to like immediately dodge because, you know, my timing is not really good. Here you see what I mean with like if you have enough space to dodge the skulls, because like due to him teleporting, like the skulls came out of 2 different directions, and that made it like kind of like a little bit BS for me to like actually try to like not get hit. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I waited for my Reign of Chaos to come back to have something against the like skeletons, but like I'm not sure. Definitely not ideal. That's why, by the way, I do think like having your Q, I mean like the spin from, yeah, I got feared. The spin actually of the sword is also good, clear as long as the enemies are actually really together and not like split it up. But I don't know. I cannot give you a good answer. Here I think it would have been better to have a bow than... But the thing is, the bow is like really slowing you down. I don't want to say that the bow is actually holding you in place, because that is not true. But it's also not like it's like a straightforward, you can like shoot and run at the same time. And here you see also what I mean with you have to predict a little bit with Reign of Chaos, because I used my Reign of Chaos now 3 times. And like all 3 times, like the first 2 times I did not really predict where Nicholaus was going. The 3rd time I did thought, you know, Nicholaus would move towards me, and he didn't. And the last time he did start to move again, but I thought he wouldn't. So a little bit unlucky. But we got him in the end. That's kind of nice. I'm currently waiting for the other person to arrive so we can chomp. He's bringing with him some friends. Luckily you are, you know, invincible as long as you're like chomping. At least as long as you're chomping V-Bloods. Not normal, but at least for V-Bloods, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, so back we go. We did get, you know, Nicholaus. I don't know, I do struggle way more early on. I think that's mainly because like I don't have like a good feeling for the cooldown. Because like usually you play a little bit more like endgame, especially if you farm like a lot of the rifts, right? Yeah, by the way, I do decide for the spider, little spider one. So he, like Nicholaus is unlocking 2 ults that you can choose from. Sorry for repeating. You can either get the Army of the Dead. Well, I do like the Army of the Dead. It's inflicting condemn on nearby enemies while summoning an army of 6 skeleton warriors and 2 skeleton mages around you, and skeletons last up for 7 seconds. My issue with that actually is that I feel like that the skeletons are too squishy. Like sometimes if the like enemies are doing something, especially the V-Bloods, they're just like so quickly going through these skeletons. Yes, they can like nicely pull aggro, but it's not, you know, always like super nice. The other option is actually the arachnid, like the spider. This one is like summons a giant spider that chases down your enemy. Well, that is a little bit tricky because you actually do want to like spawn it close, so it doesn't have to walk too far. It's not like triggering something else. It's really depending a little bit. Inflicting Condemn, dealing 250% magic damage, and then spawns 3 Spiderlings, and each Spiderling will explode, dealing 125% magic damage. So I personally do prefer the Spider, at least from the Condemned magic spells. So here we're currently going against Polara, the Feywalker. Polara. Oh, trippy shrimps, by the way. So yeah, I did do one of the major mistakes I did here is that I went in with low blood reserves, in my opinion, because I have no chance to actually heal. And I think I'm even getting fragile at one point, which means I'm like taking way more damage than I should do because of that situation. So Polara. Polara is really annoying for me to fight. What is the issue with Polara, in my opinion? Or is there like an issue? There's not really an issue. It's skill issue if you want to say it like that. So Polara has a lot of attacks. First things first, we have the Spirit Wave. Polara does a stationary channel, lifting her arms up before releasing 3 spread out spirit projected that move in a wave-like pattern. It's like spinny ticket. Kinda like the skulls, but harder to dodge. I don't know why, but I really struggle to like dodge all of her like attacks. Then we also have Spirit Wolf. Polara does a short channel in front of her before launching a Spirit Wolf in straight line. I do find it hard to actually see her like channeling half of the time. See, maybe because I'm like too close, and that's why I'm like once again feel like, oh, maybe I should actually have not used the sword. Because whatever I'm doing, I feel like the sword is like too short ranged and you have like barely time to dodge any abilities. So that's like why I'm kind of like, why am I even doing that, what I'm doing. So we also have Fear. You get simply like this, I'm just face tanking. I'm generally just face tanking. Invisibility. If the player is in close proximity of Polara, she will turn invisible for a few seconds and gain increased movement speed. This thing is like most of the time you actually are able to see her shadow, so it's not like that hard. I do feel like sometimes that my counter is really delayed, or I actually did like press that button that delayed. I cannot tell you. So, summon minions. After losing 25% of her health, Polara will periodically shout, "Spirits, hear me," and summons a pixie. They fire ranged wave-like spirit attacks, right? Really annoying. And the thing is like awesome. So first things first, she's summoning more and brutal. And I cannot exactly explain to you because I simply never understood it myself. But if her spells are hitting the pixies, they are healing her. So you also technically, you see what I mean? I did not see like fast enough the like cancel, and I did not walk out enough. So although these ones I have like a form of no, you know, I don't, how do you word that? It's not directly a tracking. I know in other games it's called homing because it's going like generally for like a brief second in your direction. So they do have like a little bit at the start a form of like they're going towards you, but it's not like a full tracking. I think that's the issue. Here, by the way, you see what I mean. Like, I'm so low on blood and I do have to get a creature. The issue with creature blood is actually you do not want to fight with that. Because while you do get more benefits from it, for example, I think one of the creature benefits is actually that you're moving faster while in wolf form, is that you do not want to fight. Because you're like scared. Because you're like an innocent creature. Right? So. I always misposition with Polara. I cannot tell you. It's also like one of the tricks that you get told when fighting Polara is that you want to have like a good positioning. It's like actually the little missiles that she's like firing. I'm just face tanking all of them. The wolf, it's fine. It's a straight line. It's not that bad, right? As I said, I'm getting hit. Oh yeah, that's by the way. So the wolf hit me and then went back to Polara, and I think that actually healed her. That's what I meant with it earlier. So, but for me, that spell, if you're too close to Polara, I don't know how to not get hit. So I really feel like sword is not a good weapon. And here, I just realized that my play partner is actually like, you know, downed, and I'm deciding to face tank everything. While Polara is actually like, you know, but she just got healed from me. So, you know, we don't talk. You see what I mean? I'm just, I'll call it skill issue at that point. I will not lie. I generally will not lie. Absolutely call it skill issue. So we're waiting here once again. Why we did have to wait, as you can see, it was like a short day period, so we do have to go for it. And luckily we do have Blood Moon, so maybe that is a little bit better now. So let's see. Not that we needed the buff of Blood Moon, but it's also not painful. We also do have 41% Brute Blood now, so we did swap our blood, so we're not a scared little creature anymore. So let's go. We do have our ult. We're hopefully trying to, like, you know, dodging a few more. Nope. I want to say hopefully we're dodging a few more attacks, but apparently I'm continuing with just face tanking everything. Oh, we dodged one wolf. We did dodge a second wolf. But yeah, I feel like, you know, maybe a ranged weapon. Or like, you know, a spear. Spear, crossbow, or bow. Probably something like that. Probably swapping between these, obviously, as well, you know. You can use for these ones, you might want to actually use, like, the fast attacking of the sword. But let me tell you, like, against Polara directly in her face, using a sword does not feel good because of the amount of times you're simply getting hit from the spirit wave. I don't know. It's just like, you see how like you can actually dodge it when you stay away, which is kind of logical because, you know, like it's an expanding ring. So I don't say anything against that, but like, or maybe you do, no, you don't have enough. I want to say, or maybe go for like a full, you know, spellcaster ability. I don't know why I did not even dodge that. That was like so straight. But like, I walked absolutely into that. So that was kind of embarrassing. Sometimes I'm like, I need to like react faster with my counters. I'm simply face tanking. We decided at that point, you know, maybe I should play tank. Maybe my future will actually be to play tank. Okay, here we have, you know, actually the blood to extract. And, you know, we actually can, you know, do that nicely and have Polara done. And since it's Blood Moon, we did decide to go for, like, another round. We are going for Kodia and unlocking the bear form, which is really nice because, you know, it is helpful for that because it will, on one hand, actually help you to, like, get the big rocks done, and you get Ferocious. That is not really needed. It's a structure, but it looks kind of nice. So, Kodia is, in my opinion, one of the easier bosses, even in Brutal, because most of the abilities you literally can walk out. The only thing you probably want to be a little bit more careful is the charge, because you're actually getting knocked back. But besides that, the charge is actually, you know, I think you actually do see the charge. When she's doing she, her, him, the bear, it, the teddy bear. I mean, like, I kind of want to, like, say it's a teddy bear because it's a bear, but it's sadly not a teddy bear. But, so, obviously, you know, crush, which causes a large amount of rocks to fall down. You can actually walk out of it. You do see the area that the rock will fall, reminded that the ring is a little bit smaller than the actual, you know, area of effect. But it is actually dodgeable. So that is not an issue. You can actually dodge all of that. The rage, and increase attack speed for 3 attacks. I don't know. It's not really recognizing for me. Like you cannot recognize it. It is okay. So it's literally like a little quick zoop in my opinion. Not that we probably have not died to that, you know, absolutely be honest. I will not lie, you probably. I have died to it, you have died to it. You know, but it's still one of the easier bosses. So, teddy bear. Kodia. Let's go. That like, you know, the crush that I was talking about. And you see how the rings are spanning outwards. So, like, as long as you're, like, walking backward and, like, sideways, it's okay. I think these are random extra, like, falling stones that, you know, happening afterwards of Crash, and I was kind of forgetting that, but that's beside. Yeah, by the way, that's what I'm talking about, the spider. I did summon the spider, and, like, it was a little bit out of range, so it kind of got wasted, because Kodia charged away, so it was kind of like, the tracking of the spider was not working anymore, because the tracking radius is a thing, and I think that is not explained really well how far actually the tracking radius is. Yeah, that's the only thing that I mean was, like, you know, the you know, charge of Kodia is a little bit of the issue. Here, you know, it has a higher, you know, attack speed. I don't see an issue with that. You know, you can have a counter.
It's, for most things, actually it. I kind of do like the wiggle when you are attacking the smaller teddy bears. It's actually kind of nice. Besides that, the crash, like I said, you can simply walk out. Also, a little tip, as you saw me doing, is you can move around because of the feet, right? If you don't have your Veil Dash ready, and you have like an enemy close by that you want to move into the direction, to actually, you know, you can like feed on them, because that will make you move and then immediately interrupt your feet, right? That is definitely an option. So, Kodia. Anything else to say besides, you know, apparently I did thought that I could, you know, counter the smash. Once again, do we need to have like the discussion a third time about AoE encounter? I don't think so. I think we have learned it, but do we actually have it learned by now? But yeah, for the crash, you can simply walk out backwards and sideways. You do not want to walk out backwards straight, because usually it's going in, I would say, a little bit too quick when you just walk out backwards. But yeah, Kodia, it's done. Not too hard, actually kind of nice. We now have, you know, the teddy bear form, so not too bad. Well, that was an actually really successful run. We did have 4 enemies in one go. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun, and see you next time.